Welcome to another edition of the BAMREF Show. The BAMREF chairman, Joel Mannix, is back with us this week. And this weekend's European football and FA Cup really has thrown up a number of talking points for us to get through on the BAMREF Show this week. Lazy and inept, the ex-Premier League referee Mark Halsey has been spared the horses on his former Premier League colleagues after Chris Kavanagh's performance in Newcastle's FA Cup win at Aston Villa over the weekend. Was the decision to award a free kick instead of a penalty for the handball against the Villa left-back Luca Digne one of the worst decisions you've ever seen? Wayne Rooney thinks so. I certainly don't. It wasn't even the worst refereeing decision in the game. I'll tell you more about that later. I'll also tell you the story of Gift Orban, the 23-year-old Nigerian striker, inexplicably sent off for his lone side, Hellas Verona, at the weekend. Strong feelings around that one. And I'll tell you all about the referee who didn't need VAR to get a whole host of decisions right in the game between Birmingham and Leeds. Leeds went on to win that game on penalties. More about that later. Welcome to the show. Before we start, VAR, introduced in the 2019-20 season. Are you a fan, Joel, or would you like it gone too?
No, I'm a massive fan. What we've got people asking that the game it's been missed. And I think if VAR is used in the correct manner, it's done well, you know. It's very hard to come back and they say, oh, it's been re-refereed, but we want the right decisions. Let's get the correct decisions. So leave VAR.
Okay, we'll get back to that whole issue of re-refereeing a little bit later on. But let's start with Saturday night. Aston Villa against Newcastle, and four decisions that have made Monday morning's media, and Sunday's media for that matter. We'll go through them step by step. I'll tell you what they are, Joel, and you'll tell me right or wrong what you think of them. The first one is Aston Villa's Tammy Abraham. He is circled in the image here. He's in an offside position for the opening goal. No arguments on that one, Joel?
No arguments. That's what we've asked for. We've asked for it in the laws of the game. There's no argument.
Okay. The second one is Luca Digne's challenge on Jacob Murphy. Now, this is the one that I think was more of a red card than the handball. It would fall under Law 12, fouls and misconduct. A player who lunges at an opponent from the front, side or behind using excessive force is guilty of serious foul play.
The word that you're looking for, excessive force. Now, the referee has got to judge that on a split second. There is no VAR, right? There is no VAR for FA Cup. I think this will be one of the last seasons that will happen. But I believe he's looked at it. He's got nothing else to help him change his mind, so he has to give a sanction. So that's what he's gone with.
Joe, I have to say, I just slightly disagree with you with that. I mean, he's come in low. He's come in at a point where he's made contact with Murphy's ankle. It does look as though it's dangerous. You say a split second, but at the elite level, you're there because you can judge these things in a split second. And for me, he does get that one wrong.
I don't feel listen, don't get me wrong. Show me a referee which hasn't got a decision incorrect or wrong. But you're looking at his positioning. He then has to think, has he come in low, as you said? Yes. Has he come in hard? Possibly. But he's then judging, bringing the game into it, and he's thinking, is that excessive force? No. He's trying, I can see what he's trying to do, so I'm going to go with the sanction which is there. At the end of the day, if VAR was used, VAR may have said, hey, listen, you've got this one a bit wrong. Come back and have a look and let's see what we can do and go from there. But he hasn't got VAR. He has to go with his first judgment. And that's it. He's got nothing else.
Let's get to the third incident. It's Chris Kavanagh again. And actually, I think he was right. I do agree with something you said there. Marco Bizzo, the Villa goalkeeper, homing in on Jacob Murphy as he prepares to home in on goal. It's the denial of a goal scoring opportunity, isn't it?
Look, so it is. Sometimes players come in and everyone's in your ear. No, he's going away from it. Look, there's another covering defender. Once again, it's that split second where he can now judge and see, and he's thinking, this is the picture I've got, this is the picture I'm taking, and I'm going to give the sanctions on that. That's it. They're honest decisions. Whether they're right or wrong, they're still honest decisions.
Let's go to the fourth one, because Lucadina has his arms up in what would be deemed an unnatural position as Kieran Trippier crosses the ball. Now, it's a penalty, I'll grant you. It's not the worst decision ever not to give it. I actually think Trippier's penalised for the crime of having arms, because he's turning away. I don't think it's a deliberate attempt to stop the ball. And actually, it's Chris's assistant, Nick Greenall, who doesn't help him by pointing out that the offence was well inside the box. Joel, what do you make of it?
Well, there's a few factors there that you've got to discuss. So, on a penalty decision, major one, the pre-talk or the pre-match talk might be, if it's wrong, which I used to say, for instance, when I used to have my officials, I'd say, listen, guys, penalty decision, look where I'm at, give me first shout, give me credibility. If I've cut the air and said no, then do not come in. If I'm looking at you, I'm staring at you, and I'm saying, listen, I need a bit of help here, then come in with me. If you've got nothing for me, then just hang your head and we'll go from there. And this is the we've got the communications now, so he might just say, I've got nothing for you. So then again, Chris has got to go and make that judgment. He's made the judgment, like I said, from his position, looking at his positioning, right, wrong, indifferent, but that's the process of refereeing. That is it. And, when he's gone back and looked at the monitor, he might sort of say, yeah, I got that one wrong. And, I got this one right. I mean, the reflection is we sometimes come out and we persecute and we bash referees and we say, yes, this is this, and there's so much money on the game, and we want to drill them and knock them into the ground. He's human. He's made a mistake.
Listen, Joel, I don't necessarily disagree with you, I have to say. I'm certainly not in the camp of hammering Chris Kavanagh for the weekend's football, because I actually enjoyed, I don't know about you, but I actually enjoyed a weekend of football without VAR. I'm sure you'll agree with me, Joel. We watched football for decades without VAR, and guess what? We actually fell in love with the sport. It became a billion-pound industry without VAR. It provided some of the greatest moments in sporting history, let alone football history, without VAR. I think our game would have been fine without it. Goal line tech, fair enough, I can live with that. But VAR is doing everything I thought it would do. It's making, sorry to say this, Joel, but it's making referees dependent on the tech and their colleagues. Instead of taking responsibility and making decisions, they're deferring to the guy in front of the monitor. And when you get someone like someone you know very well, Farai Alam, saying, no, I'm going to go with the courage of my convictions, people are shocked. It isn't perfect, and Liverpool substitute Rio Ingamoa over the weekend. He had a goal wrongly ruled out for offside against Brighton on Saturday night. But anyone who listens to the audio of a VAR exchange, it's really, really hard not to come to the conclusion that the game is being re-refereed with VAR. And you can point something out as a video assistant, and I have no issue with that. I do have an issue, but you know what I mean. But why would you, as a VAR, have to recommend what action to take? That's the reason for me that so many people are unhappy with the system. Joel?
So, as I said, you quoted one thing. You said it's £1 billion industry. Do you know what I mean? So it's there. There's a lot of games. There's a lot of decisions which go on. A referee will make 300 decisions during a match. Okay? 300. There is no one in this earth that can make 300 decisions and get them all correct. There's not. You're going to get, and what we're talking about is that, okay, out of the 300 decisions, he's made 297 correct and the 3 wrong. But let's highlight the 3 that he possibly could have got wrong. But also there's something that, this is where VAR comes in, because those 3 which may be questionable, that's where VAR can go back to him and say, hey, let's have a look. You need to have a look at this and look again. VAR wasn't there to re-referee the game. VAR was there installed so that big decisions, the correct objective was made. But I do agree that quite a lot of the referees today are relying quite heavily on VAR, just in case because they don't want to be penalised. They don't want to lose marks. They don't want to have that, right, well, this is what's happening. They don't want to be spoken about on Monday morning. So this is why this is why they try and get everything correct with the help of VAR. Unfortunately, VAR wasn't there.
Wayne was talking about it being Wayne really is one of the worst decisions he's ever seen. I'm sure you've seen a lot worse. Do you want to go first? I'll give you a couple of mine. You give me a couple of yours.
The worst decision, what? I'll tell you what. If VAR was around, Maradona's handball, yeah. What would people be saying then? Yeah, Frank Lampard's shot, which clearly crossed the line. yeah. What would be? There's different outcomes. Yeah. And yet, once again, it's clearly the worst decision. It's not. There's many. I remember watching that as a kid in Maradona, and we slowly, frame by frame, look, see, he's handballed it. He's handballed it, and it was it's the hand of God, and it's like, what? So if VAR was in there, then obviously that would have been kicked away. Yeah. Frank Lampard, where he's hit the crossbar, has gone in the net, and it's come back out. I think there was another one with Manchester United goalkeeper. Was it Carroll was in goal?
Carroll,
shot a kid. Yeah, it went in. I think it even rippled the net.
No, I don't think
that's how far. That's how far it went in.
But you're absolutely right. I mean, if you're talking about ridiculous decisions, I remember Watford against Reading in 2008. Stuart Atwell was the referee. Nigel Bannister was his assistant. Bannister gives a goal when the ball has gone wide of the post. Atwell not only gives it, but then he sends off the Watford head coach, A.D. Boothroyd, for complaining. I still think the Luca Digne one with VAR wasn't given and should have been given. That was the worst decision in that game, not the handball for me. And if you look at last season, Villa were denied Champions League football this season because their game against Man United, they scored a legitimate goal. The keeper didn't have the ball under control. The attacker comes in, scores the goal, but because the referee, Thomas Bramwell, had blown his whistle, VAR couldn't get involved. And that's the problem, isn't it, with VAR, that so many people believe it overcomplicates situations when it doesn't need to.
It does. I mean, listen, VAR, some referees use VAR to get me out of jail card, okay? Is it wrong? Is it right? Listen, that's between them and their conscience. At the end of the day, for Hallam, he saw what he saw, and he was willing, and I loved it for it, to fall on his for it, because he was like, no. But then, again, his experience comes into play, because he's played the game, and he's played it at a level, so he understands, and he's played as a defender, so he understands body movement. He understands, and I'm sure if you ask him, he's been caught in those positions before time. And it's like, no, it's not a handball. It's a genuine error. But no, he's got to go to the screen. Yeah, it's definitely. He's gone to the screen. It's definitely. No, it's not. It's a conversation. This is what I saw. This is what happens, and it's for the referee to say, "Bing, this is what's happened. It's no goal or it's a goal."
Just very quickly, two questions for you. The first is, would you have given the Luca Digne handball, the one where he's put his hands up as he's turning, he's not looking at the ball, I don't really know where he could have put his arms anyway. Would you have given that as a penalty?
It's very hard for me to come back on hindsight now. I mean, I've been in there, I've refereed games, and, the ball, you're looking at space, proximity, the ball, how far it travelled, and the player doesn't want to get the ball spanned in the face. And he's put his arms up and he's spun and it's hit them and everyone shouted out handball. Now, he knows it's aiming for his body. It's not like he's keeping his eyes open and he's throwing his shoulder in or he's throwing his hands in and he's trying. He's generally, it's one of those where fight or flight. And unfortunately for him, it's caught him, He doesn't want to get smacked with the ball going at 65, 70 mile an hour plus per hour and then thinks, wow, I've now got to, run this off. He doesn't want to. So that's why your bodily instinct puts your arms up. That's what your arms are there for, to protect your body.
The second question for you, would you prefer not to have VAR and for all games, including games you referee, just to be, clearly you don't referee at a level where there is VAR, but would you prefer to have someone in your ear or not?
Listen, when you've got the earpiece in and you're refereeing games and you're listening to the talk and you're commentating and you're speaking and the earpiece saying this is out, that's out, it's all very well because everyone's on the same chapter. If it's the case of you've now got to listen where you might think you've got a decision wrong, you now have to start second guess yourself. And this is what's happening. People are referees are second guessing themselves because they're thinking, oh, did I not see what I saw? Oh, did I not see what it was? And they have looked at it, and whereas before they may have given a decision and carried on, we're now coming back, analysing it for 3 to 4 minutes, and then saying, right, this is what it is.
It's quite a good point, that, because if you look at the weekend, the game between Birmingham and Leeds, Paul Tierney come to the stage, as they say, because he gave a decision, a first half decision regarding a penalty, which if it were in the Premier League would have taken 3 or 4 minutes. In a split second, he makes a decision around it that proves to be correct. Didn't rely on VAR, and lots of people kind of believe that maybe that's a way of going forward, almost a refresher course, if you like, to keep them making decisions and taking responsibility rather than relying on the voice in their ear. What's your view on that?
I mean, listen, select group referees, they do vast of games. So they do championship games as well as premiership games. So that, as I say, to keep them on their toes with all the information, that is very much paramount. I know there's some referees which stay particularly on premiership games, which is good because they have to be done. However, the information which comes and the information which the referee's given, he has to make all of those decisions. As I said again, 300 decisions to make. Somebody's communicating in your ear. Your fourth official as well. It is sometimes quite hard, and I do empathise. I mean, me as a referee, once you go out and you've got a picture in your head, you can't then not take a different picture because that's the picture you're going to sanction, and that's the picture which you're going to move on. And as referees, when you do go through refereeing, it's one of those sanctions which you do. Now, flipping back, Mr. Halsey, he came out and he persecuted. Now, it's all very well in doing that, but let's go back to his World Cup era. Do you know, I'm just saying it's very easy for people to throw stones, and it's one of those where.
Let me ask you, John. Are you unhappy when you see referees so publicly criticising one of your own?
100%. It's upsetting, and it's like, well, let's throw him under the bus, so I get more publicity and I make more. But then, when you look through that referee's career, how many high-profile, in brackets, mistakes did they make? Take a different spin on it. Understand, empathise.
Very painful over the weekend for the Hellas Verona player Gift Orban. I want to talk about him because he was dismissed in the 11th minute of his club's game against Parma. He had protested against a challenge by Enrique Prato in the centre circle. Now, Orban's a Nigeria striker. He was visibly frustrated by the challenge. You can see it all over social media. So what he does, he goes towards the referee, Luca Pareto, and he says, listen, what are you going to do? And the referee shows him a red card. You've seen the footage, Joel. What do you make of it?
Listen, body language says a million things. What's said is something completely different. My only action is with the referee is that he didn't like what he heard. and he sanctioned accordingly. I know the player would go around and say, "Oh, that's not," one of the things when I was refereeing was at a high level was when a player would come and say, "I'm cheating." That was an ultimate red card for me because I know I'm not a cheat. Or, as I said, big story. I was refereeing a game, and uncle is a sign of endearment, as we know, to some of the black community.
Yes.
So I'm refereeing, and one of the players has said, "Uncle, that's not a foul." And I said, "It is a foul." So at half time, the manager from the opposing team came and knocked on my door. And he says, "Yeah, I've got a complaint against you. I'm not sure my team's going to play." So I said, "Well, why is that?" He said, "Well, you've got a relative in the side." I was like, "Pardon?" I was like, "A relative in the side?" He said, "Yeah, because they're calling you uncle." I said, "No, it's a note of endearment because he's not going to say ref." And the way how he brought up, and he's like, "No, you've got an uncle. Your nephew's you're refereeing your nephew. This is why we're losing. You're not getting any decisions correct, and all the rest of it." So I was like, okay.
What I want to do as well, just move now away very slightly from the news agenda and talk about BAMREF itself. You're the chairman. You started the group in 2020. Since then, there's been a huge rise in the numbers of people that have signed up for BAMREF, the Black, Asian and Mixed Heritage Referee Support Group. And there's been another update on the numbers in the past week. I know you've got them there. Just tell us what those numbers are.
I remember, Darren, I don't know if you remember, 2019 when we first had our conversation, where are the black refs? When I got the results this week, I was so happy from the FA. So 4,219 referees. That's the total number of BAM referees there are.
So Black, Asian, Mixed Heritage referees.
Black, Asian, Mixed Heritage referees. There are 4,219 out of the 40,000, I would say, of referees.
Wow.
Now, we're up by 10.96% because of where we are. And you've got to understand, when we had that conversation, it was only 3%.
Mm.
Yeah, there was only 3%. So we're nearly up by 8% of referees that have increased and have come into the game. Now, 1,362 of those, as I see, are from bursary schemes. Women's refereeing, where we keep pushing and we keep plugging. There's 368, which is brilliant. So the percentage of BAM women match officials is 11.34. So everything is looking well. I mean, one of my biggest sayings is if you can't see it, you can't be it.
Mm.
We saw, may his soul rest in peace, Uriah Rennie. He was my inspiration for picking up the whistle and going. We've got Sam Allison, who's out there now refereeing. You've got Kill Howson on the line. And now, 3 weeks ago, we had Farai Hallam. So there's others coming through. We know about the Corex group. We know we've got the funding because that was a great success. We know of what's going through them, with them, in respect of promotions, because those numbers have gone up as well.
What do you put the rise down to?
I put the rise down. I mean, don't get me wrong. The whole team of BAMREF has worked tirelessly and effortlessly at pushing for more of black and brown officials within the game. Some people ask me, Joe, why do you do this? I want to see that the game has to reflect what I'm about. We're in a good place.
And
we are in a good place.
Just to say, I mean, there is yourself, there is the CEO, Ajay Chivala. Shelley Alexander, former BBC journalist, not too many people know about her, but she was one of the original cohort as well, worked incredibly hard. And you do have a dog in the race because you have been, until not so long ago, a referee yourself. So you've seen firsthand what the landscape looks like.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen it. I mean, when we first started, I was kind of told, Joel, there's only 4 referees which are in the game. And I was like, you're so far away from the truth. I said, mate, listen, where's the next generation? What's coming up behind me? Where is it? You know, I go into court, Centre of Refereeing Excellence program from the FA, and I'm only the only black male on there. And I'm 46. So are you telling me that there's more, but I can't see them? How? Where? We've now got Core X, because we knew that there were some certain challenges within the core program. So we've sat down and we've got Core X.
What is Core X?
Now Core X is a referee for those that don't know, for black and brown officials, where they are coached the same level of syllabus, from referees level 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, all the way down, and they're in this program in which helps them elevate to get over to the next game. Okay. Now, I know Core X is working well, and other people do know, because the amount of promotions that we've just had this season, and the numbers speak for itself. It's
a record, isn't it?
And it's a record. And outside agencies and outside other bodies are saying, well, hang on a minute, what are they doing that we're not doing? So we know it's working.
What's your message to the young aspiring referees that aren't yet part of BAMREF, but can see that those icons, those leaders, those referees, male, female, are coming through and are getting opportunities? What's your message?
My message is quite simple. Keep doing what you're doing. You've done the hard bit because you've picked up the whistle and you're out there.
A great note to end this week's show on, because the numbers are up, morale is even higher, and as Joel says, there is really good advice for the young referees coming through. Joel's going to be back with us next week. We're going to be talking about more big decisions from the world of Premier League football. We'll also talk about all of the issues that you might be putting our way to. Don't forget to catch the Grassroots show on Stream HQ, and we will see you next week.